Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Night Podcast, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yao, as always, joined by Maurice Patton, and we want to take a moment, of course, and thank our sponsors, as always. Beck Dental Care, Columbia Academy, Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, Custom Stone Handlers, and, of course, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Custom Stone Handlers believes in leadership, and outside of the military, our greatest leader-building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. Contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. They're also the sponsor of the End to Win Life Team of the Week, so we appreciate them for that as well. Maurice, it's actually going to be Friday Night Football this week. We don't have any games tonight, so super excited as far as football. We have no football games tonight.
And hopefully we won't have any games Saturday.
As of now,
knock on wood.
It's all looking good. So there is that. What we do have tonight, though, is some volleyball games, and we also went to some earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
You got a chance to get out to Mount Pleasant and Zion late, but not too late.
Yeah, late. Early enough to understand that Zion went out there and won in 3 straight sets. So a big win for Zion on the road. Obviously not a region match since they're Division II, but again, they won in straight sets, and a big victory for Cali West / Cali West Turek, who over the weekend got married, and so big wedding gift for Coach Turek with the 3-set victory over at Mount Pleasant.
A beautiful honeymoon in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee.
There's worse places to be.
They're really good. They really are. I like it just enough. I'll tell you, it's. I was actually there at the beginning of the match to take a few pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and just it was a good atmosphere. Lots of folks in the stands, and Mount Pleasant Zion. Anytime they get on any playing surface, it's always fun to watch.
Yeah, with them being so close, and a lot of them go to church together and that kind of thing, and so there's a lot of familiarity with the kids, with the parents, with the fan bases, and so like you said, when they do get together, I was able to go to the football game that they played last year over at Zion. That game obviously coming up in a few weeks over at Mount Pleasant, but nice when those two programs can get together, and again, just as you said, a good atmosphere and a good road win for Zion in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was, after I left Mount Pleasant, I went over to Summertown as they played Spring Hill, and Summertown got the win pretty handily, overall straight sets again, but that second set was I tell you what, Spring Hill definitely didn't go away without a fight. So kudos to them.
I like what Sarah Derryberry has done with that program. They were in the region tournament a couple of years ago, went down to Hume Fogg and lost. But, they play in a really, really tough district, and being able to battle for region spots and that kind of thing, that's a big deal, I think, for the Lady Raiders. And the only way that you're going to put yourself in position to play those meaningful postseason games is play good people during the regular season. So as you said, I applaud them for going down to Summertown. Tough place to play, tough team to play.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you, the Summertown looks as good as ever. I don't think there's much fall off from last year's team.
Well, when we talked to Andrea Kelly for the preseason magazine, she said that 9 of 10 players that saw significant playing time on that Class A state championship team from last year were going to be back. So, they are pointed to Murfreesboro yet again, and
no question.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hume Fog, apparently there's some fog in our camera.
Nice segue there.
No idea what that's about, but I guess if you're listening on the podcast, you don't
then
know.
You won't know.
You have
so
no idea.
Disregard.
Yeah,
but if you're watching,
it's rough. I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Let's go to our volleyball schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And check that out, because tonight we have a full slate of volleyball games or matches or whatever they're called.
I struggle with that.
Yeah, it's sets and matches. I'm pretty sure, but I don't. I really just don't.
I've done volleyball off and on for almost as long as I've done football, but I've always struggled with that.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Here's what you can do.
I try to ride around
you
it.
can go to Columbia Central tonight. You can travel down to Loretto.
No, you can't go to Columbia Central.
That's right. They're
tonight.
out. They're,
you cannot go to Columbia Central.
do not
tonight.
go to Columbia Central for a volleyball game. They are still quarantined from COVID-19 issues.
Yeah.
Columbia Academy goes to Webb in Bell Buckle at 5:30 tonight. Mount Pleasant's at Loretto, also at 5:30. Independence travels to Ravenwood at 6. Perry County is at Summertown at 6. Summit goes to Centennial at 6 p.m. And Zion Christian is at CPA.
And we're not sure what
at
time
some point
today.
Probably around 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get there a little early, you get there a little early.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night, you'll have Central not going to Lawrence County.
Yeah.
And you'll have Mount Pleasant at Zion. So that should be another fun matchup there. Repeat of Monday's game.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, Summit travels up to Bowling Green. Summit is on a roll right now in volleyball. They are looking very good. Big win for them over the week, and I think that was their senior night that they had on.
I think so.
Tuesday.
Yeah. So like you said, they're playing well right now, and it's a good time because that's a tough district there with Brentwood and Ravenwood and some of the teams that you have to deal with in that district.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about soccer. Girls soccer, one of the big things is that while Central's volleyball team remains shut down due to COVID, tonight their girls soccer team will get a chance to get back on the field.
Yeah, they are now coming out of quarantine. Just came out. They were able to practice on Wednesday, and they are playing a district matchup at 6 today. That schedule says 7, but communicated with Greg Sidlowski earlier today. They're playing at 6 against Coffee County. Their first game back out of quarantine. So big deal for them. They are 0-2. Both those losses in district play, have yet to score goals. So hopefully they can get some offense going and get some things going in the right direction in that one tonight.
I'll tell you, one of the matches that I'm really excited about here is this Richland Fairview match. And anytime you get a chance to play a Williamson County team and for Richland, and I'm not sure if it's a district match or not.
It is not. It is not. Fairview is in AA for girls soccer, and they have quietly kind of built a nice little program over there. So this, like you said, should be an interesting matchup for Richland. One of the top Class A teams in this area, kind of stretching themselves out a little bit, going over to face a AA program in Fairview. So interesting matchup there this evening.
And again, if you're listening on the podcast, Culleoka travels to Zion at 5:30 tonight. CPA's at Columbia Academy at 6. Richland at Fairview at 6. Coffee County at Central at 7. 6.
There we go.
Sorry, you just said that. I'm reading. Independence at Centennial at 7, and that is Centennial senior night. So between the JV and varsity games, there will be a senior night celebration for the Cougar seniors. And then Ravenwood travels to Summit, and they will play at 7 tonight as well. I'm sure there's a JV game ahead of that Summit-Ravenwood match, if I had to guess.
Sure.
That's why they're playing at 7. So, yeah, absolutely. So, speaking of teams being shut down for COVID and coming back and whatnot, Summertown is without a football opponent this week because Collinwood has been forced to shut down their program for the next 2 weeks due to a positive COVID test.
Yeah, a tough situation for the Trojans down there. And unfortunately, the timing of the announcement was such that Summertown was unable on such short notice to come up with another opponent. So the Eagles now looking at two open dates, this one and later in the season, which I guess being open on Labor Day weekend isn't necessarily the worst thing either.
Not if you're a player, for sure. Probably some of the coaches getting out on a lake or something, having a little bit extra time.
Yep.
I'll tell you, Coach Les Mode out there, he told me that he was, because of being off on Friday and the number of team future opponents he has playing and the number of coaches he has, they're all going to split up and go watch their future opponents. I think Lawrence County and one other team are not playing this week, but I'm sure they're definitely looking forward to getting out to Lewis County and checking out that.
A little scouting never hurts. Never hurts. Any opportunity, saw Jason Hoth on Saturday over at the Summit Spring Hill game in advance of their game tomorrow night against the Spartans. So these coaches putting in the work and trying to get their eyes on these teams. So good move for Coach Mode and the Summertown staff to kind of take advantage of that situation.
I'm sure you'll see somebody at the Richland, since they play Richland next week.
Mm-hmm.
They get a little extra time to prepare for the Raiders, too.
Exactly, yeah. But again, with everything that's going on with the pandemic and everything, you hate to miss an opportunity to play, but you got to keep these kids safe as well. So with Collinwood not being available and everything that comes from that, we were talking off air prior to, we've had somebody affected each of this first 2 weeks, I think, and that's probably just the way it's going to go.
Yeah, even, we've talked about, Central just finished playing Dixon County, and they had some players out during that Central game.
Mm-hmm.
And Shelbyville had a couple of starters out against CA. So it's affected everybody, even if it hasn't necessarily stopped a game.
Yeah.
It has affected the outcome, maybe not the outcome, but it's affected it in some way with players being out.
Well, Columbia Academy in their opener, they were supposed to have played Marshall County. That game wasn't played because Marshall County had some issues, so they had to shift on the fly, pick up Clay County, and went up there and lost that one. But, I just think between cases coming up and the situation with Metro Nashville schools, we're going to kind of continue to see this shift on the fly scheduling somewhere across the area from week to week.
And we noticed just before we got on air that at least John Cooper, mayor of Nashville, is saying that they're trying to start transitioning to fall sports beginning, but if they're not able to get started before Central plays John Overton, Central has penciled in someone else at this point.
Apparently Central is set to play Giles County, not tomorrow night obviously, but next Friday night, the 11th, in the event that Overton is not available for that game.
I don't think it's possible, because isn't there an acclimation period, a 2-week acclimation period?
I'm not sure what they've been doing.
Or is the TSSAA going to waive
No, they're
2 weeks?
No, they're not going to waive the heat acclimation period.
So
that's a player safety issue. There's no getting around that.
But have they been?
And that's what I don't know.
Yeah, that's the question.
I don't know how much they've been able to do to this point. So
as the fog dissipates.
For now. Since we don't know where it came from, we don't know when it's going to come back. So
that's so funny.
But is. Technology is a beautiful thing,
isn't it? When it works, it's great. But yeah, so right now, Central is scheduled to play John Overton next Friday night
at Overton.
At Overton. If that does not happen, they will play Giles County
at Giles County.
Yeah, on the road.
And if you've not been to the Brickyard, it's one of the nicer high school football facilities in Middle Tennessee. So I think Central last played Giles County. They played during the 2015-2016 scheduling cycle. So it's not been that long ago for Lions fans to have been down there. But if you've not, like I said, if you've not been, go early, go to Hickory House for a pregame meal, and then walk over to the stadium.
So go to Hickory House. If I have to go to that game next week, that's going to be Friday Night Bites. Is Hickory House?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that tells you a little bit about what's going on with scheduling wise. I know Independence has now officially picked up a Week 8 matchup, a Thursday night on October 8th. They will play Innsworth.
Yeah, they're going to play that game, and that's at Independence. Yeah.
At Indy, yeah.
Yeah, to make up for the game that they missed this past week when they and Christ Presbyterian Academy weren't able to play for weather reasons and the like. So they are back to looking at a 10-game schedule right now. Again, they've got Pearl Cone scheduled in Week 10 as well, so another Metro Nashville school, and that's kind of pending. Talked to Scott Blade. He said if that game doesn't come off, they've got something else in the works there as well. But so yeah, it's going to be. I'm just really glad in the magazine on our helmet schedule we put down there. Schedule subject to change.
And it is absolutely subject to change throughout the rest of the season. We expect that there will be some additional stuff. We're just not sure what that's going to entail. Sure. But we will let you know as soon as we know. And we will talk some more about football when we come back. It's Week 3. Mm-hmm. We've got 5. I'm not even going there this week.
No, 5.
It's 5 games this week.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a good week. So when we come back, we'll talk about 4 of those games before we get to our game of the week. And this is Sports Night presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. And welcome back to Sports Night presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Maurice, let's talk a little bit about our 5 games we do have this week. We'll begin with the one that you will be at. You've already written a small little story that talks about a couple of players on these 2 teams, but you'll be heading out to Mount Pleasant as they take on the Richland Raiders.
Yeah, big Region 5 1A game for both those teams. Mount Pleasant's only game to this point was a 13-12 loss to Summertown in Week 1. Richland has split their first 2 games, both out of region. So, and it's interesting because when you look at the Associated Press Class 1A statewide poll, 4 of the region's teams are getting mentioned in there. Cornersville and Fayetteville are both ranked. Moore County and Huntland are both receiving votes, and then you've got these 2. So I think this is a big chance for somebody to have a statement game, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. But as you mentioned, Austin Seals, the running back for Richland who leads the area in rushing, Ethan Beasley, a 2-time All-State selection for Mount Pleasant. Both those guys have had a history, with head injuries. And so if you've not seen either of them play, or if you have seen them, you've noticed a little helmet cushion. It's called a Guardian cap. It's supposed to reduce impact and hopefully keep players a little bit safer in terms of the possibility of concussions and that kind of thing. It's something that I first started to notice in the area about 6 years or so ago. Some teams were taking the precautions of putting all their kids in them in practice, which when you talk to coaches and trainers, that's where you see more of your injuries anyway.
Sure.
And so, which seems kind of odd.
Well, it's because, and this is it's we talked about this earlier in the season or in preseason, with Coach Moat at Summertown. He was telling me that, again, when you're playing somebody else, it's less likely that you're going to pull up and, you're always going 110%. Whereas in practice, one person may be going 80%, the other person's going 100%, and somebody's going to get hurt in that situation.
And when you put it that way, that makes sense. I never really thought about it like that. But if somebody's pulling up and somebody's not,
one of the two is going to end up hurt because they're not going to hit what you expected to hit or whatever.
Yeah. So, but both those guys are wearing these Guardian caps, and we were able to get a hold of the chief medical officer of the NFL, Dr. Alan Sills, who is a Franklin resident, and I consider him a pretty good friend. I don't know if he considers me that, but anyway, he was nice enough to speak to us a little bit for that article. So I think there's some pretty good stuff in there.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance, make sure you get to the website sm-tnsports.com and check out the Guardian Cap story. You'll see the picture of Ethan Beasley is the picture that you'll want to click on there and check it out. Austin Seals last week, 193 yards rushing on 17 carries. And, again, he leads the area in rushing yards. So this is going to be a really tough matchup for both teams. I'm really excited to see how it plays out. And you can follow Maurice, Patton_sports, as you see on the screen there if you're watching. You can follow him on Twitter for in-game updates. He'll keep you updated as much as possible. But you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on that score if you're interested in that Class 1A division.
Yeah, exactly.
I will be heading to Nolensville this week. It's probably going to be another barbecue Friday night bites.
Well, I mean that's the home of the original Martins.
You can't go to Nolensville and not go to Martins. I don't think it's. I think it's a rule. Pretty sure
it probably is.
It's an ordinance there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying. But I tell you, Spring Hill is struggling right now on offense, and the Raiders have got to find a groove of some sort, some way.
You know, it's puzzling just because when you look at that offense and you see the pieces over there, particularly as we've talked about, you're talking about Landon Sechrist, you're talking about Dante Corral, Ramon Kelly, who has their only touchdown of the season through 2 games with the big 53-yard reception from Luka Boylan in Saturday's 28-7 loss up at Summit. So you just feel like they've got the pieces, and even in a 28-7 loss, I thought the defense really acquitted themselves pretty well. But offensively, this team has got to take some steps, and you feel like it's there. It's just a matter of when. And when you're talking about a Summit team that's averaging 5 touchdowns a game right now, I mean, they beat Independence 40-34. They won this game this past weekend. They can put some points up. You're going to either have to stop them, or Spring Hill's going to have to stop Nolensville or score with them. And I'm not sure either of those is necessarily the case. Nolensville coming off of a loss to Brentwood and a win over Watertown, which Watertown's probably one of the better Class 2A teams in Middle Tennessee. So.
Hey, so it's kind of curious because, again, Spring Hill has played teams bigger in size than both of them,
mm-hmm.
you know, and so Nolensville, obviously, they get drilled by a very good Brentwood team.
Right.
I mean, you can't hold that against them. Brentwood's going to beat a lot of folks. and Watertown will too. So, you know, we'll see what happens on Friday night.
Yeah, obviously the first region game for both of them, maybe the first true test for both of them, as you said. When you look at the schedule for both, they both lost to some higher classification teams. Yeah. So the difference being that that Nolensville has played a game against a Class 2 team, and both of Spring Hill's games were against Class 5A opposition.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, I'll be out there. You can follow me on Twitter at ChrisYao14, and you can follow me retweeting on SM_TN Sports on Twitter. You can also watch that game on Nolensville's YouTube channel. So, and if you don't have the link for that, it is on the website at SM-TN.
And if you're looking for Chris at the Nolensville game, just look for the guy with the barbecue sauce down his shirt.
That's right. It'll be all over probably this or something else. I'll tell you, moving on to the next game, one of the more entertaining games the last couple of years. I know 2 years ago,
this was a track meet.
This was a track meet indeed, and it was at Centennial.
Was that the 62-40 game?
It
was.
That what it was? And it was at Centennial. Independence traveling over there again. And like I said, this game is very rarely not entertaining, at least. So we'll see what happens on Friday night. But that Summit loss that Indy has had a little bit of extra time to simmer after CPA game gets canceled.
Right.
And they may be really angry when they meet the Cougars.
They may be really ready to get on the playing field by Friday night. I'm always interested to see what Independence does coming out of a loss, because I'm not sure that there's any better coach at that than Scott Blade. He hadn't had a whole lot of experience with it, but you don't see a whole lot of losing streaks at Independence, and I'm intrigued by what, again, as we talked about this time last week, I'm intrigued by what Jackson Campbell does for an encore after the performance he put together in his debut at quarterback. And Centennial lost a region game in their opener. They lost to Ravenwood, who is probably favored to win that region. Lost at Smyrna, started on Thursday, finished on Saturday. So you're talking about a Cougars team that's struggling a little bit. I think they've had some injuries as well. But full disclosure, I'm a Centennial parent times two, and really like the job that Matt Kreisky has done up there, and that coaching staff. I've got some personal ties to. So.
And former Spring Hill coach Jay Emmons is still on staff there, and
it's back on staff there. That's where he was before he came to Spring Hill, and then went back. So he likes it up there. They like him, and I believe he's defensive coordinator over there. So
he does a really good job. Yeah. He really does. So I don't think it's going to be 62-40 this year, but we'll see. If you have a chance to get out there, make sure to do that. It is the WCTV game of the week, so it will be on,
WCTV.
Local cable. There are some local cable providers who have that on their lineup. If not, you can see it again on the YouTube, the WCTV YouTube channel. Of course, you can follow -2 Sports on Mixlr. You can get them at ihstdc.com. Brad DeShield does a great job there, making sure that every Indy game is broadcast no matter what. So we appreciate his help as well. Now, of course, it's going to be a really good night. And Centennial Independence, like I said, never not entertaining. So if you want to see a really good football game, that's a game that you're going to want to see. And finally, before we get to our game of the week, let's talk about Zion Christian as they host the Memphis Nighthawks. And we talk about this every week with Zion Christian, that the depth issue that they have probably won't be much of an issue this week, as Memphis probably has similar depth problems.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. This is a homeschool-based team. Not a whole lot of info out there on them, but in their only game to this point, they lost 49-0 to Trinity Christian, and Trinity Christian scored all 49 of those points in the first half. It was 42-0 at the end of the first quarter. So,
and last week, Zion gets up on Fayetteville and defensively held them scoreless until late in the second quarter.
And as we said earlier, Fayetteville is ranked.
That's right. Fayetteville is very good.
Yeah. So if Zion Christian can stay in there early, they probably have a chance to come off of here with a win late. And we'll get to our picks later on. But you have to feel like what Zion Christian has done in spots this year puts them in a good spot for this game in their home opener.
Absolutely. So if you get a chance to get out to Zion, it's the only way you can see or hear this one is to be there.
To be there.
So get tickets at the gate. They're available. Make sure to wear your garnet and gold. I guess that's garnet. It's pretty garnet.
It's pretty garnet. Kind of Florida State-ish.
Yeah. Wear your garnet and gold with the black trim, and you'll be having a good time at Zion Christian on Friday night as they take on the Memphis Nighthawks at 7 p.m. So looking forward to see what Brad Lowry does with his group, coming off of some positives at Fayetteville, but also that loss. So when we come back, we will talk about our game of the week. It is the Summit Spartans traveling to the Columbia Central Lions, and it's got some pretty big implications. When we come back, we'll talk a lot more about it on Sports Night, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
And welcome back to Sports Night, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Maurice, our game of the week will be a lot of fun. Region 5-5A, it's been a great game the last couple of seasons especially. But surprisingly enough, Summit has never lost in this series. They are 5-0 against the Lions.
Which means Columbia Central has never won in this series.
That's right.
Yeah, and until they do, I mean, it's got to be a little bit of a mental block to some degree. I mean, they've been in control in this ball game at times, and suddenly just haven't been.
Yeah,
and so that kind of plays into the mindset on both sides, I think, because Summit feels like, hey, even if we get down, even if we stumble early, we've got a chance as long as we play 48 minutes. And Columbia Central, the first thing that goes wrong, it's almost like, here we go again. So, if Central can get themselves in a position to, figuratively speaking, step on Summit's throat, they've got to do it, because you got to drive a stake through their heart in this series, apparently, because they won't go away.
They're not going to go away, and despite not having Keaton Wade in the backfield, they've not had any issues on offense to this point. So
you almost got to wonder how good they would have been with him. I mean, on both sides of the ball. I mean, I think linebacker is really
that's where he shines.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that big physical presence in the offensive backfield, you can't hurt.
Big pounding back, that sort of thing. It's and it keeps Destin from having to make as many plays as well with his feet when Keaton's in the backfield. So that being said, obviously, where we know Central's defense has the ability to put points on the board, we saw 10 of them last week,
and thank goodness.
Yeah. So that's where I really see. I'm curious how this game plays out, because both, the Summit offense versus the Central defense is going to be a absolute slugfest. But that Central offense, it's funny because the Central offense and the Summit defense are probably the weaker of the two, but they're about equal.
Yeah.
If Brady McCandless is able to, and he was last year, to hit Stephen Kennard on a couple long passes, that's how they scored early last year. And then you get Christian Biggers, who's going to pound it. I'm curious.
I'm curious because they've got a kid that's going to dress this week, Justin Buckman, and he's mentioned in the article that we've got up on the website regarding Columbia Central and Independence's scheduling adjustments. Justin Buckman is a senior slot receiver who transferred down here from Clarkston, Michigan. Michigan is not playing high school football this fall, so he moved down here, and apparently this kid was a difference maker on a not great team last year. And so he kind of gives them a little depth and, from what I can gather, a little juice out of the slot. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to have an impact here and how much that helps Central from an offensive standpoint. Because, again, Summit, 40 points in their opener, 28 points last week. Central's going to have to score some points, and they're going to have to slow them down. And so
and those 28 Summit points, by the way, were first half points, and Destin Wade did not play the second half. It was,
Destin Wade didn't play the second half. Brady Pierce didn't play the second half. Caleb Jolly didn't play the second half.
Most of their offense was sitting on the sideline, just probably because of the heat, and you're already up 28-0.
28-7.
Or 28-7. Let's just, not take any chances. But so understand that's 6 quarters of football, and they've scored 68 points.
And Brian Coleman kind of talked about that a little bit after the game. Destin Wade only had 4 carries for 14 yards in that ball game. They kind of adjusted their game plan to let him kind of sit back in the pocket, throw it around more, fewer designed runs, that kind of thing. And he had a clean pocket, so he didn't really have to scramble a whole lot.
Right.
I think you'll see the whole of Destin Wade's game on display Friday night. And sometimes getting heat on this kid is the worst thing.
Yeah, if you put pressure on him, there's no telling where he may end up.
Yeah.
So
And he might end up behind you.
Yeah, you gotta be careful when you're playing a guy like Destin Wade. So this Friday night, it's going to be a huge matchup because this one could potentially be the region title game as early as week 3. We know Shelbyville's pretty good. They're only going to get better with it. They got a great coaching staff over there, and they got really good players. But Page seems to not be very good. They're not nearly as good as they were last year.
Well, you can't lose the seniors that Page lost, I don't
Right.
think, and not feel it. I kind of felt like going into the season that Summit, coming off of a state runner-up finish, was the class of Region 5-5A, just on past performance. But I really felt like you could throw Shelbyville, Columbia Central, Page in a bag, shake it up, and draw them out for 2, 3, and 4. That may not be the case at this point, as you said, regarding Page, which opened with a loss over at Fairview, which is a pretty good 3A team, but is a 3A team. So, this is a big game. It's probably a bigger game for Columbia Central, actually, than it is for Summit, but it's a big game, and it's going to have some reverberations, I think, over the course of the region season.
I fully believe that this is going to be. It will either be the region championship or it will cause a 3-way tie.
Or it's going to create, it's going to decide who finishes second and who has to go on the road for the first round of the playoffs.
I'm telling you, this game is as big as it gets in Region 5-5A.
In week 3.
And by the way, Region 5-5A was 3 of 4 in the first round of the playoffs last year, and Central
3 points away from a sweep.
Yeah, absolutely could have been, a winner in Region 1 or in that first week of the playoffs as well. So
against previously undefeated and number one ranked Beach.
So this just goes to show how important a week 3 game can be, and you can hear it live on WKOM and WKRM depending on where you're at. If you want to hear the Summit broadcast, it's KOM,
which is 101.7
FM, and then
the Columbia Central broadcast is on 103.7. So because most car radios don't pick up call letters.
Well, or you can just go to their website. You can find that on our website. It's on the left-hand side. You can click TriStar Sports Radio, listen live, and you can find it there.
There we go.
You can literally find it anywhere. I guess we should probably tell people who we're picking this week. What do you think? I guess,
yeah. The only thing is, once we tell them, then we're accountable for it.
That's right. We're always accountable. But last week we both went 6-0, picked the same teams, and I suspect that may be the case this week. It always looks funny because he has to send me his picks early. So when I pick the same teams, he's like, "Are you really just picking them because I picked them, and you don't want to lose any ground?" But when we both go 6-0, it's pretty obvious that maybe we just thought
we just had a feel, yeah.
That's who's going to win. Yeah. So that may actually be the case this week as well. But that Central Summit game, who knows? We'll see. Let's first talk about the Independence at Centennial game. Again, a lot of points have been scored in this one in the last couple of years. But what are you thinking?
I'm afraid a lot of points are going to be scored by one team. I think, much as it pains me, I've got to go with the Eagles in this one.
I think you're right. I think it's important that you're talking about an offense that is just dynamic with the addition of Jackson Campbell at quarterback, because he gives them such a unique presence in the pocket with a similar to Destin Wade. If you get pressure on him, who knows? Because the guy can run.
And that's really something that Independence hasn't had at the quarterback position in past years.
Right.
They have really been a pocket passing type attack. But the ability of Jackson Campbell to make plays with his feet and still make plays downfield in the passing game is something that we've not seen out of this offense.
Absolutely. Moving on, Memphis Nighthawks at Zion Christian. I think the fast start of Zion and the ability to jump out to a big lead will be key here, and Zion gets the win.
I think you're right. I am. I'm as impressed as you can be with a 41-16 loss. I like what they were able to get done last week down at Fayetteville, getting up on those guys early and being tied 8-8 at the half. Again, against a team that was looking at being 10-0 last year, got a lot of those guys back, and is ranked again in the AP Class 1A statewide poll. So I like Zion in their home opener here.
Absolutely. And Spring Hill traveling to Nolensville. Again, this is a game that it's kind of hard to judge. So we'll see what happens. But I've got to go based on one last year, but also the instability of that Spring Hill offense makes me believe that Nolensville is going to get the win here.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you here. I just feel like there's some talent on that Spring Hill offense in particular, and when they put it together, they're going to be tough to deal with. I just don't necessarily think it's this weekend.
I think you're right. All right, and the game that you will be at, Richland travels to Mount Pleasant. This one is this one's a big one.
It is. I'm excited to see the young skill players from Mount Pleasant. Tavarius Strayhorn, a quarterback, Xavier Davidson. A lot of youth over there stepping in behind some experienced guys that they lost off last year's team. I think they're going to grow up a lot from that Summertown game and the opener, plus the open date this past weekend when everybody else was getting drenched. But and the X factor in this one could be the kicker Jackson Collier, who was suspended for that Summertown game. If this is a close one, this is a kid who has the capability of hitting a 50-yard field goal.
Sure.
And now whether or not they'll give him the opportunity, we'll see. But the leg is there. Again, this is a kid who's worked with a couple of former UT kickers, James Wilhoit and Aaron Medley, over the summer, and he's got the potential to kick at the collegiate level, and you don't see that a whole lot in kickers at the Class 1A
the
level.
1A level, that's very rare.
So, I mean, this guy can be a weapon, and he could be a difference maker, and in a close ball game, having that on your side isn't a bad thing. I like the Tigers here.
I think you're right, and I think it's basically the same reason. I think, what you will see out of Richland will be a very potent offense. Mount Pleasant's going to have to play good defense. And I like the Tigers in this one, but I think it's a toss-up, and I'm going with the home team.
Yeah, I would not be at all surprised to miss this one.
Absolutely not. This is one of those toss-ups for me. I think Richland is just that they're a very good football team. They've got some really good skilled players, especially Austin Sills and Sam Edwards.
I think you can talk about this Richland team a lot of the same way that we talk about Columbia Central, in that you've got the established running back in Austin Seals who can be that constant for you over the course of a ball game. And if Sam Edwards can make enough plays in the passing game to keep you honest defensively and let Seals run, you could have a ball game late.
Absolutely. So you'll definitely want to keep tabs on it, following Maurice at @Patton_sports on Twitter. All right, so our picks each week here's what you're looking at, and they are.
Hang on, you missed one.
I'm sorry. No, I haven't got there yet.
Oh, my bad. All right, go ahead.
Anyway, our picks each week are brought to you by Jamie Davis, Allstate. You're in good hands with Jamie Davis. For a free quote, call 615-392-1122. That's 615-392-1122. And make sure to tell her that Southern Middle Tennessee Sports sent you. And that will be appreciated. I promise you, we would really appreciate it. Now the game that you were talking about that I missed, I did not miss.
That you didn't miss. My bad. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It is our game of the week. It's the Summit Spartans traveling to Columbia Central Lions. We've talked a lot about this one, and we're going to continue talking about this one. But I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I think this is Summit's game to lose. And I also think that at some point something will happen in which Columbia Central thinks, oh, God, here we go again, and Summit will take advantage.
Yeah, I just think I think Summit's too balanced on offense. I think Columbia Central has a great defense. I just think that Summit can come at you from too many different positions. I think obviously Dustin Wade keys everything. I think Sam Kerouac is really underrated at the running back in Keaton Wade's spot. They've got some
and
weapons.
And their changeup back with Jacqueline Cotton.
And they've got some weapons in the passing game with Pierce, with Jolly. Brandon King is a nice little complimentary receiver for them there.
A complimentary receiver with 2 receiving touchdowns in game 1.
Oh, and another one.
And then another one on last Saturday. So that's a pretty good compliment.
So Pierce and King each have 6 receptions on the year and 3 touchdowns.
That's a pretty good day.
That's not a bad percentage there. 1 of every 2 catches is going for 6. So I just think Summit has too many weapons offensively. I like Summit in this one.
There you go. So it's another week of picking the same teams, but that's okay. I mean, there are 2 games that I absolutely feel like could go either way. I'm pretty confident on the other 3, but those last 2 could go either way, and I wouldn't be surprised neither time.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that you get out to your local high school game this week. If you can get a ticket, if you can't, you can find out how to listen or watch. You can visit our website, sm-tnsports.com. There's an article there with every single game, how you can listen, watch, or buy tickets, if there's an availability to listen or watch. If you cannot, you can follow us on Twitter at SM_TN Sports. That's the best way to get up-to-date live coverage throughout Friday nights. #OnlyGameInTown. Make sure that you are following us. We really appreciate it. And again, subscribe on the website. It's absolutely free to do so. Doesn't cost you a dime, and you get everything we write directly to your inbox. So for Maurice Patton, I'm Chris Yao. This has been Sports Night presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Have a great day.